Hi, my name is Eric Johns, and today I'm going to be discussing my project, Vinyl View. In today's era of digital music streaming services, vinyl records have made a surprising resurgence in popularity. The challenge facing modern vinyl record enthusiasts, though, is that they have to manage their collections without the conveniences offered by these technologically advanced platforms. To combat that, this project aims to develop an app that empowers vinyl collectors to seamlessly manage their record collection and gain insights into their listening habits. By integrating features for cataloging records, tracking their conditions, and analyzing listening statistics, Vinyl Vision bridges the gap between the tactile pleasure of vinyl and the analytical benefits of streaming services, enhancing the overall music enjoyment experiences for collectors. To begin the design portion of this application, I first empathized with my users. In order to empathize with them, I wanted to interview a group of them. So I gathered 5 participants to interview. And when I was looking for these 5 participants, I took into account statistics that I had done research on that stated that men more often are vinyl collectors than women, and that the age range of vinyl collectors varies immensely. Typically, 18-plus-year-olds are the age range we find collecting vinyl, and it's a very even split. So my interview pool consisted of 3 men and 2 women, and they were 23 years old, 28 years old, 31 years old, 49 years old, and 71 years old. After interviewing and having a conversation with my participants, I created empathy maps to better define my findings, as well as how they were feeling, what they do, what they see, what they say, what they hear, as well as their pains, gains, and what might motivate the user. From there, I wanted to state my users' needs and problems by defining them, and define the business as well. So to do that, I created a persona and a business model canvas. To generate my persona, I took the 5 empathy maps that I had generated from interviewing my participants and combined different aspects of them to create Alex Johnson. I used Alex Johnson later down the road when developing the app and kept him in mind, thus keeping all 5 of my users in mind when designing my application. To build my business model canvas, I sat down and really thought about how this would work in the real world, who I would have to partner with, what activities were most crucial for the business, what resources were necessary, and what value we're going to be adding. I also wanted to talk about how we would maintain customer relationships, the channels we would go to deploy the application, our customer segments, most importantly, the cost structure and the revenue streams. And from there, I moved on to my ideation stage. Ideating is where I really started to run with this. I sat myself down and generated a mind map. And here you can see that mind map. And I had 5 main branches of ideas. One of the largest being collection management, the second being listening statistics. I then went in depth about the different views I wanted users to be able to see, how they could view the albums in their collection, the artists in their collection, the aesthetic of the application, how it should be minimal, and what colors to use in order to modernize it. I discussed the miscellaneous screens. And circling back to collection management, I really emphasized organization, how records would be taken in, and something that's very crucial to physical copies of music is status. So I wanted users to be able to see status right off the get-go as soon as they're viewing an album in their collection, such as condition, the last time it was cleaned, how many times it's been played, etc. And listening statistics is one of those features that I think would really set Vinyl View apart from its competitors, as it gives data about what record is being listened to, how many times you've played a record, shows historical data, such as how many minutes of music you've listened to on vinyl this year. And it congregates them in various stats and shows users fun facts about their music. And I would think the most comparable thing to this would have to be Apple Music Replay or Spotify Wrapped. And I've seen how that has taken off on social media, and I would like to do the same thing for vinyl music. After mind mapping for quite some time, I moved on to prototyping, and this is where I started to create my solutions. So I originally sat down and created my paper prototypes. I created 5 main screens, the screens that I felt were going to be most important to the user. I didn't want to go too in depth with my paper prototypes because that would defeat the whole purpose of a paper prototype. It's to get the information out there and try and set the design style without going too much in detail. And so I felt like going into more screens would just have generated confusion during the design process. After creating my paper prototypes and deciding some design language for the application, I moved on to my functioning prototypes. To create my functioning prototypes, I used Figma. And on your now you can see 3 excerpts of screens that I selected. On the left, we've got the collection view. In the middle, we have a statistics page for the top records. And on the right, we have the active listening session view. Starting on the left, I wanted to emphasize with large text how many artists, albums, vinyls the user has, because that information is going to be the most valuable to them. And down below, you can actually go through and view the records, all of the records. You can sort them, filter them. You can search, edit, add a record. In the middle, we've got our top records screen. And I wanted to include a share icon so that users were able to share this information on their social medias, with their friends, however they wanted to share it. And I wanted to emphasize who the number 1 artist was, what the number 1 record was, because that was the record or artist they listened to the most, so it's clearly important to them. And on the right, we've got the active listening session screen. And this screen is really what blends Vinyl View with the real world. We've got the tone arm, and the record actually spins to demonstrate that that's what's currently being spun. You can change the variant if you have multiple variants in your collection, start, pause, etc. After creating my functioning prototypes, I then tested my solutions. And to test my solutions, I gathered the same 5 participants that I had originally gathered for my interviews and had them use the application, completing 10 tasks that I had designated. Here we can see some statistical analysis of these tasks. The top left graph shares data on individual performance comparison. The bottom left comparison of actual versus average number of taps per task. And on the right, task difficulty analysis. And we can see some variation within individual performance comparison, within all of these graphs actually. Which indicates that some tasks were more easy to others and some tasks were more challenging to others, which I then am going to, which emphasizes a need for a redesign, potentially, just because this app is designed for everyone in mind. I also can see that certain tasks did perform well and were straightforward to use. And during my post-test questionnaire, I discovered that certain users very much enjoyed the design style. They enjoyed the views, the connection to the real world. And I found that the buttons that I had created that were more similar to system buttons were the most popular and most easy to use for users. So bringing in more of that design language would also be critical. Overall, Vinyl View is now a finished project, and I hope you enjoyed this presentation.